The last time I rode in my father's 1966 Mustang convertible, the autumn wind whipped my hair into knots as we cruised down back roads, discussing my upcoming finals. Now, 6 months after his death, I'm staring at a photo of that same car listed for auction online, complete with the small dent above the wheel well that we never got around to fixing. My name is Palmer, and I'm watching my inheritance disappear one classic car at a time. Are you sure it's the same car? Callie leans over my shoulder, squinting at my laptop screen. We're huddled in my tiny college apartment, surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee cups. Look at the paint job. I zoom in on the metallic blue finish. Dad and I spent 3 weekends getting that exact shade right. And see that scratch near the door handle? That happened when Jacob tried to borrow it last summer. Your stepbrother's still a piece of work, huh? I minimize the browser window, my hands shaking. Simone promised she'd handle the estate while I finished my degree. She looked me in the eye and said, "Focus on school, Palmer. Your father would want that." And you believed her? Callie's voice carries no judgment, just concern. I was grieving. Dad's heart attack came out of nowhere, and I had midterms, and... I trail off, remembering how Simone had swept in, all efficiency and fake sympathy, handling the funeral arrangements while I sat numb in my childhood bedroom. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Leonardo, Dad's old friend from the classic car circuit. Check your email. More listings found. This isn't right. I open my inbox with trembling fingers. Leonardo's attached screenshots of 5 more auctions, each featuring one of Dad's beloved cars, the '57 Chevy, the Cobra, the GT40 replica he spent years building, all listed under different seller names, all scheduled for auction within the next week. How is this possible? Callie asks, reading over my shoulder. Didn't your dad leave everything to you? He did. I have the will somewhere. I dive for my filing cabinet, pulling out the folder of death-related paperwork I haven't been able to look at since the funeral. Here. See? The car collection was specifically left to me. Then, how is Simone selling them? I spread the papers across my desk, legal documents mixing with final exam study guides. Something catches my eye. A transfer of title form I don't remember signing. This is forged, I whisper, examining the signature. This isn't my handwriting. My phone rings. It's Russell, Dad's attorney. Palmer, we need to talk. I just received some concerning documentation about your father's estate. Let me guess. Vehicle transfers? Yes. Supposedly signed by you, but the timestamps are questionable. Are you aware of any sales? I grip the phone tighter. No, but I'm looking at auction listings right now. Simone's selling everything. That's highly illegal. If you didn't authorize these transfers. I didn't authorize anything. My voice comes out steady, calmer than I feel. She forged my signature. She's selling my inheritance right out from under me. There's a pause on the line. Palmer, this is serious. We're talking fraud, multiple counts, but we need proof. I'll find it. I'm already opening my laptop again, screenshots filling my screen. Every car Dad owned had documentation. He was meticulous about that. After hanging up, I sit back in my chair, mind racing. Callie touches my shoulder. What are you going to do? I'm about to answer when another email from Leonardo pops up. This one contains a single photo. Simone and Jacob at a cafe, laughing over brunch. The caption reads, "Spotted today. Overheard them discussing their upcoming European vacation, using the car money, I assume." Something cold settles in my chest. I think of all those Sundays in the Mustang with Dad, him teaching me about engines and integrity in equal measure. I think of Simone's saccharine smile at the funeral, her hand on my arm as she said, "Let me handle everything, dear. You're in no state to deal with this." "Palmer?" Callie prompts. "What's the plan?" I open my bottom desk drawer and pull out an old tin box. Dad's emergency kit, he called it. Inside, beneath papers and old photos, I find what I'm looking for. A small key with a bank's logo etched on it. "Dad always said to keep copies of everything important," I say, holding up the key. "And to never trust anyone who smiles too much while handling your money." I stand up, grabbing my jacket. Callie raises an eyebrow. "Where are we going?" "To the bank. Dad had a safety deposit box." I pause at the door, looking back at the auction listing still glowing on my screen. "Simone thinks I'm too busy with finals to notice what she's doing, too grief-stricken to fight back. But she's wrong." I think of Dad's voice. "Palmer, honey, always check the paperwork. That's where people get caught." She's about to learn exactly how wrong she is. The bank's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows as I approach the teller, key in hand. "I need to access my father's safety deposit box." "Name?" "Gabriel Lopez." My voice catches slightly. "I'm his daughter Palmer. I have the documentation." While she verifies my ID and paperwork, my phone keeps buzzing. More messages from Leonardo about new listings. I silence it, focusing on the task at hand. The teller leads me to a private room. "Take all the time you need. Inside the box, everything is organized with Dad's typical precision. Vehicle titles, insurance documents, and maintenance records, all carefully labeled. But what catches my eye is a manila envelope marked, "For Palmer, emergency only." My hands shake as I open it. Inside I find a handwritten letter. "My dearest Palmer, if you're reading this, something's happened to me. I pray it's years from now, but life has taught me to be prepared. The cars aren't just vehicles. They're our history, our Sunday afternoons, every lesson I tried to teach you about patience and persistence. I've seen how Simone looks at them. At you. Keep these original documents safe. Trust your instincts, sweetheart. You've always been smarter than people give you credit for. Love, Dad." "Find anything useful?" I jump. Callie's standing in the doorway. I'd almost forgotten she came with me. "Everything," I say, holding up the titles. "Every single car, documented. And look at these dates. Dad renewed all the paperwork just 2 months before he died." "So, Simone's definitely selling stolen property. Worse." I pull out my phone, opening the forged transfer documents Russell sent me. These forgeries are dated after Dad's death, but they used his electronic signature. She didn't just steal from me. She's committing fraud using a dead man's name. Callie whistles low. "That's going to look great in court." My phone buzzes again. This time it's Jacob posting on Instagram. "Peace out, America! Euro trip starts next week." "Blessed. Living my best life. The audacity," Callie mutters, reading over my shoulder. "Using your inheritance to fund his vacation." "Screenshot everything," I say, already forwarding evidence to Russell. "Social media posts, auction listings, everything. We need to prove they knew exactly what they were doing." Back at my apartment, we spread everything across my floor. Original titles, forged documents, screenshots, bank statements. A pattern emerges. Simone started planning this even before Dad died. Look at these emails. Callie points to printouts from Dad's account. Simone was contacting auction houses 3 months ago, asking about their processes. while Dad was still in the hospital. The realization hits like a punch to the gut. She was planning this while he was dying. My phone rings. Russell again. Palmer, I've reviewed everything you sent. This is extensive fraud. We're talking potential jail time. Good. The word comes out harder than I intended, but we need to move fast. These auctions are scheduled for next week, and once the cars are sold to innocent buyers, it gets complicated. What do we need? Police report first. Then we file for an emergency injunction to stop the sales. I've already contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. This crosses state lines. I hang up and look at Callie. Want to help me file a police report? Absolutely. But first... She holds up her phone, showing Jacob's latest Instagram story. Him and Simone toasting with champagne, caption reading, "Finally getting out of this boring town." They think they've won, I say quietly. They think you're too nice to fight back, Callie corrects. Too proper, too much your father's daughter to cause a scene. I think of Dad's letter. Trust your instincts. You've always been smarter than people give you credit for. Dad taught me that real power isn't about causing scenes, I say, gathering the documents. It's about being prepared, having your paperwork in order, playing the long game. And are you prepared? I look at the evidence scattered around us, proof of every lie, every manipulation, every calculated betrayal. They thought I was too busy grieving to notice, too focused on finals to check the paperwork, too trusting to question my stepmother. But Dad also taught me something else. I pick up his letter, running my fingers over his familiar handwriting. He taught me that cars are like people. What matters most is what's under the hood, and under Simone's perfect facade is about to be exposed. Callie grabs her keys. Police station? Police station. I gather the documents into my bag. Time to show them exactly what kind of daughter Gabriel Lopez raised. As we head out, I glance at my phone one last time. Jacob's posted another photo, their packed suitcases by the door, ready for their grand European adventure. I screenshot it, adding it to my evidence folder. They have no idea their vacation plans are about to take a very different turn. Miss Lopez. The detective slides the paperwork across his desk. We've reviewed your evidence. This is quite thorough. My father taught me well. I sign the official police report, each page documenting Simone's fraud in detail. We've already flagged the auction listings, he continues, and contacted the relevant platforms, but your stepmother's using multiple aliases, different payment processes. I can help with that. Leonardo walks in, carrying a thick folder. I'd called him on the way to the station. I've been tracking classic car sales for 20 years. These listings, they're using a defunct auction house's license number. That's another federal offense. The detective's eyebrows shoot up. You're sure? Check the registry yourself. License number AH7745 belonged to Crown Classics. They went bankrupt 3 years ago. My phone buzzes. A text from Callie. You need to see this. Jacob's live streaming. I open Instagram. Jacob's walking through their house, camera pointed at stacks of designer luggage. Last-minute packing. First stop, Paris, then Monaco for the car shows. Car shows? The detective leans forward. That could be relevant. Very. Leonardo agrees. European buyers often pay premium prices, no questions asked. If they're planning to auction the cars overseas, that crosses international lines. The detective reaches for his phone. Excuse me while I make a call. While he steps out, I scroll through my emails. Russell's sent updates on the emergency injunction. We have a hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning. Palmer. Leonardo's voice is gentle. Your father would be proud. He always said you were the sharp one, not sharp enough to see this coming. I close my eyes, remembering Dad's last weeks in the hospital. Simone was so convincing, playing the grieving wife while she planned all this. Don't blame yourself. Con artists are good at what they do. He pauses. Speaking of which, he pulls up another auction listing on his phone. The Mustang, Dad's pride and joy, with a starting bid of $500,000. That's impossible, I whisper. The car's valuable, but not that much. Unless... Leonardo zooms in on the description. Look at the provenance claims. My blood runs cold. Simone's listed it as an ultra-rare factory prototype, complete with fabricated documentation. She's not just selling stolen cars, I realize. She's committing fraud on the buyers, too. The detective returns, looking grim. We've got a problem. Your stepbrother just posted that they're leaving for the airport in an hour. My heart races. Can't you stop them? We need a judge to sign off first. The paperwork's being processed, but bureaucracy takes time. Time we don't have. I pull out my phone, dialing Russell. Already on it, he answers before I can speak. I'm at the courthouse now. Judge Martinez is reviewing the emergency order. They're leaving in an hour. Text me their flight details. I'll make sure it reaches the right people. I hang up and turn to Leonardo. Can you send everything you have about the fake auction license to Russell? Every detail helps. He's already typing. Done. And Palmer, I found something else. He shows me his tablet. Simone's been using your father's digital signature software, but look at the timestamps. They're all from after his death. Exactly. The software logs every use. That's digital evidence of fraud, time-stamped and traceable. My phone chimes with a new Instagram alert. Jacob again, this time a selfie in the car. Airport bound. Peace out, losers. The detective's phone rings. He listens briefly, then looks at me. Judge signed the order. Units are on their way to intercept them. Will they make it in time? He checks his watch. It'll be close, but they also can't leave the country now. Their passports have been flagged. I stare at Jacob's smug face on my phone screen, thinking of all the times he bragged about getting away with things. All the time Simone smiled sweetly while undermining me. Palmer. Leonardo touches my shoulder. What are you thinking? I show him Jacob's latest post, a photo of their printed boarding passes, first class to Paris. I'm thinking they're about to learn that Karma doesn't need a passport. The detective's radio crackles. Units in position at airport terminals 1 and 2. Suspect's vehicle spotted entering parking structure. Want to watch? He asks, pulling up the security feed on his computer. I lean forward, seeing Simone's black Mercedes pull into a parking spot. They look so casual, so confident as they unload their luggage. They really thought they'd get away with it, I murmur. Most people like that do, Leonardo says. They never expect consequences. On screen, police cars silently surround the parking structure. Simone and Jacob are still laughing, wheeling their expensive suitcases toward the terminal. They don't see the officers approaching until it's too late. Sometimes, I say, watching their faces change from confusion to panic. Consequences are exactly what people need. This is ridiculous! Simone's voice echoes through the police station. I'm the widow! Those cars belong to my husband! I watch through the two-way mirror as she sits in the interrogation room, her designer outfit wrinkled, makeup smeared from crying. Jacob's in another room down the hall, reportedly having a full meltdown. "Your husband left specific instructions in his will," the detective says calmly, sliding documents across the table. "The entire car collection was bequeathed to his daughter." "Palmer," Simone scoffs. "She doesn't even care about cars. She's too busy with her little college classes to appreciate them." Russell, standing beside me, shakes his head. "She's digging herself deeper." "Show her the forgeries," I whisper, though I know they can't hear me. As if reading my mind, the detective pulls out the fraudulent transfer documents. "Can you explain these?" Simone's face changes, just for a second, but it's enough. "Palmer signed those. She wanted to focus on school. Interesting." The detective places another paper down. "Because we have proof these were created using your late husband's digital signature software, after his death." "That's—" Simone's perfectly manicured nails drum the table. "There must be some mistake." "No mistake. The software logs every use. Time, date, IP address." He leans forward. "Would you like to revise your statement?" Before she can answer, an officer enters with a laptop. "Sir, you need to see this." They pull up a web page. More auction listings. But these aren't Dad's cars. "What are we looking at?" I ask Russell. "Your stepmother's been busy," he replies. "These are other estates she's handled, other grieving families." My stomach turns. "You mean, this wasn't her first time?" The detective rejoins us, looking grim. "We've found at least 3 other cases where she married wealthy men, waited for them to pass, then liquidated assets against the heir's wishes, using the same forged document technique," Russell adds. "But she got sloppy this time, got too confident." My phone buzzes. A text from Callie. "Turn on the news. Now." I pull up the local station's website on my phone. The headline makes my breath catch. "Widow arrested in multi-state classic car fraud scheme." "The story's breaking," Russell observes, "and with it being classic cars." "The community talks," I finish. Dad always said the vintage car world was smaller than people thought. As if proving the point, my phone explodes with notifications. Leonardo's sent screenshots from collector forums where people are connecting dots, sharing stories about suspicious sales and missing vehicles. Through the glass, I watch Simone's face as the detective shows her the mounting evidence. Her mask of indignation cracks, revealing something uglier underneath. "I want my lawyer," she finally says. "Of course." The detective stands. "But you should know. We've frozen all your accounts. And those plane tickets you bought, non-refundable, I'm afraid." In the hallway, I hear Jacob's voice rising. "This is all Palmer's fault. That little princess, always Daddy's favorite." "Charming as ever," Callie says, appearing beside me. "You okay?" I nod, watching Simone's careful facade crumble as reality sets in. "I just keep thinking about Dad, how he trusted her, while we're on that subject." Russell pulls out his tablet. "I found something in your father's email archives. Seems he was starting to suspect something before he died." He shows me an email draft, never sent, addressed to his attorney. "Need to discuss changes to will. Concerns about Simone's recent behavior. Meeting Tuesday." "He died on Monday," I whisper. "Palmer." An officer approaches. "We need your statement about the forged documents." I take one last look at Simone through the glass. She's staring at her reflection, frantically trying to fix her smeared mascara. You know what the worst part is, I tell Callie as we follow the officer. She really thought I was too naive to fight back, that I'd just accept her lies because I was grieving. Classic mistake, Callie replies, underestimating the quiet ones. In the statement room, I detail everything, every manipulation, every lie, every moment I watched them plot to steal my inheritance while pretending to comfort me. One more thing, the officer says when we finish. We found this in their luggage. She hands me a familiar key ring. The Mustang's keys. They were planning to ship it overseas tonight. I close my fingers around the keys, feeling the worn metal Dad's hands had touched so many times. You know, Callie says as we leave the station, your dad always said cars were like justice. How so? Sometimes they run quiet, but when they finally rev up, she grins. Everyone hears them coming. I look back at the station, where Simone and Jacob are learning exactly how loud justice can be. Dad would have appreciated that metaphor, I say, and the Mustang's keys feel just right in my hand. The courthouse buzzes with tension as Simone and Jacob are led in for their bail hearing. Their designer clothes have been replaced with orange jumpsuits, and Simone's perfectly styled hair now hangs limp around her face. All rise, the bailiff calls. I sit between Russell and Callie in the gallery, watching as their high-priced lawyer approaches the bench. He's all expensive suit and rehearsed confidence. Your Honor, my clients are upstanding members of the community, he begins. Mrs. Lopez is a grieving widow who committed fraud across multiple states. The prosecutor interrupts, holding up a thick file. We've identified 3 previous cases where she married wealthy men, waited for their death, and then systematically defrauded the rightful heirs. The judge peers over his glasses. And the son? Jacob McGee was a knowing participant, Your Honor. Social media posts show him bragging about selling the vehicles and planning to flee the country with the proceeds. Jacob slumps in his chair. His lawyer quickly adds, my client was merely following his mother's guidance. His mother's guidance? The prosecutor pulls out printed screenshots. These posts show him actively participating in the scheme. Quote, finally getting what I deserve. Bye-bye Daddy's precious cars. I feel Callie squeeze my hand as the prosecutor continues. Furthermore, we've discovered offshore accounts in both defendants' names, created 3 months before Mr. Lopez's death. The judge's expression darkens. 3 months before. While he was in the hospital, Your Honor. Simone turns to glare at me, her eyes burning with hatred. I meet her gaze steadily, remembering all the times she'd smiled while plotting behind my back. Your Honor, her lawyer tries again. My client is willing to surrender her passport. The passports have already been surrendered, the prosecutor says, after they were caught attempting to flee the country. The judge shuffles through papers. I'm looking at evidence of multiple fraudulent documents, identity theft, crossing state lines with stolen property, and attempted international transport of illegally obtained goods. He looks up. Bail is denied for both defendants. Simone's composure finally breaks. This is absurd. Palmer, tell them I was handling everything for you. Like you handled things for the other families? I respond, my voice carrying in the quiet courtroom. The other inheritances you stole? The bailiff steps between us as Simone tries to stand. You ungrateful little... Remove the defendants, the judge orders. As they're led away, Leonardo slips into the seat behind me. You need to see this, he whispers, passing me his phone. It's a message board for classic car collectors. Dozens of comments from people sharing similar stories about Simone. Suspicious sales, missing paperwork, grieving families. The DA wants to talk to everyone, Leonardo says. They're building a much bigger case. Outside the courthouse, reporters cluster with cameras. Russell guides me through them, deflecting questions, but I catch fragments. Largest classic car fraud scheme in state history. Multiple victims across 3 states. Estimated value over $12 million. Back in my apartment, Callie orders pizza while I sort through more evidence with Russell. My phone keeps buzzing with messages from car collectors offering support, sharing information. Look at this, Russell says, pointing to his laptop. Simone's previous marriages, all wealthy men with valuable collections, not just cars, art, antiques, rare books. All dead within 2 years of marriage, I add, reading over his shoulder. All with children who supposedly signed away their inheritance. My phone rings, an unknown number. When I answer, a woman's voice says, "Is this Palmer? I'm Rachel. Simone was my stepmother too, 5 years ago." I put the phone on speaker. What happened? My father's art collection. She sold everything while I was away at college. By the time I realized what was happening, Rachel's voice catches. The detective said you kept documentation. My father taught me to always keep records. You're lucky. I wish... She pauses. I wish I'd fought back like you did. After we hang up, Callie brings me a pizza slice. You okay? I look at my phone, where more messages are appearing from other victims. I thought this was just about Dad's cars, about my inheritance. It's bigger than that now, Russell says. You expose something that's been happening for years. Leonardo sends another update. The FBI is officially taking over the case. International buyers are being contacted. Recovery efforts are beginning for other victims. Dad used to say cars were like dominoes, I tell them, scrolling through the messages. Move one the right way, and you never know what chain reaction you'll start. Callie raises her pizza slice like a toast. To chain reactions. And to karma, Russell adds, which sometimes needs a little push to get rolling. I think of Simone in her orange jumpsuit, all her careful plans unraveling. Dad also said something else about karma. What's that? The bigger the lie, the harder the fall. The federal investigation has uncovered a pattern of systematic fraud spanning 6 states, the news anchor announces as I sit in Russell's office. Sources say the defendant, known as the Black Widow of classic cars, may have defrauded families of over $20 million in collectible vehicles and assets. Russell mutes the TV. The prosecutors want you to testify at the grand jury hearing next week. I'll do it. I'm scrolling through my phone, reading messages from other victims who've reached out. How many families are involved now? They've confirmed 7 cases, investigating 3 more. He slides a document across his desk. And there's something else? The FBI found evidence of life insurance policies. My hand freezes over the paper. What kind of policies? Large ones, taken out on each husband, including your father. He pauses. They're investigating the circumstances of all the deaths. A knock interrupts us. Leonardo enters with a woman I've never met. Palmer, this is Andrea from the Classic Car Recovery Project, he says. She's been helping track down the vehicles Simone sold overseas. Andrea shakes my hand. We've located 4 of your father's cars so far. The buyers are cooperating once they learn the circumstances. And the Mustang? Safe in police impound. They're releasing it to you today, actually. She smiles. The paperwork's ready. My phone buzzes. A text from Rachel, Simone's previous stepdaughter. Just finished my FBI interview. You were right about keeping records. They found everything. The dominoes keep falling, Russell observes, reading over my shoulder. Speaking of falling, Leonardo says, pulling up a news article on his tablet. Jacobs agreed to testify against his mother in exchange for a reduced sentence. I let that sink in. He's turning on her? Apparently, prison doesn't suit him. Leonardo's voice holds no sympathy. He's claiming she manipulated him, that he didn't understand the full scope of the fraud. But his social media posts will make that defense difficult, Russell finishes. His online bragging created quite a paper trail. Another knock. This time it's Callie with coffee and a newspaper. The headline reads, "Classic car scheme exposes decades of fraud. Multiple families come forward." "You're trending," she announces, handing me a latte. "The car community's calling you their hero." "I'm not a hero," I protest. "I just wanted my dad's cars back." "You did more than that," Andrea says. "You exposed a criminal enterprise that's been operating for years. These other families, they finally have answers." My phone rings, the detective from the initial investigation. "Palmer, we need you to come down to the station. There's someone you should meet." An hour later, I'm sitting across from a woman about my age, her hands wrapped around a coffee cup. "My name's Mia," she says quietly. "I'm your half-sister." The room seems to tilt. "What? From Dad's first marriage. I've been following the case online." She pulls out her phone, shows me a photo. A much younger version of my father holds a baby. "When I saw your name, saw what Simone had done, why didn't you come forward before?" "Simone told me you and Dad wanted nothing to do with me. She sent letters, supposedly from him, saying to stay away." Mia's voice breaks. "I only learned they were forged when the FBI contacted me." I reach across the table, take her hand. "Dad never sent those letters." "I know that now." She squeezes my fingers. "The FBI found the originals in Simone's storage unit, along with documents from all her other cons." Later, standing in the police impound lot, I run my hand along the Mustang's familiar curves. The key slides into the ignition, like coming home. "Want company?" Callie asks from the passenger window. I look at Mia, hovering uncertainly by her car. "Actually, would you like to go for a ride? Dad used to take me every Sunday." Mia's eyes fill with tears. "I'd love that." As she slides into the passenger seat, I think of all the other families finding closure, all the dominoes that fell from one simple decision to fight back. My phone buzzes one last time. A news alert. Black Widow case expands. Federal prosecutors add multiple charges. "You know," Mia says as we cruise down familiar streets, "Dad always told me that family was like a classic car." "How so?" "Sometimes it needs restoration, but with the right care, it can always run again." I think of the growing network of victims supporting each other, of Rachel and Andrea and all the others finding justice, of my newfound sister sitting beside me. "Dad would have liked that metaphor," I say, and press the accelerator. The courtroom falls silent as Simone is led in for sentencing. Her designer suits are a distant memory now. She spent 6 months in custody while the case expanded. Even her carefully maintained appearance has crumbled. "All rise," the bailiff announces. I sit between Mia and Rachel, with other victims' families filling the rows behind us. Over the past months, we've formed an unexpected support network, sharing stories, helping investigators piece together Simone's decades of deception. Before I deliver the sentence, the judge begins, would any victims like to make a statement? Rachel squeezes my hand before standing. Your Honor, 5 years ago, Simone married my father. Within 18 months he was dead, and our family's legacy was sold off piece by piece. One by one, others stand to speak. Each story follows a similar pattern: marriage, manipulation, mysterious death, missing inheritances. Simone stares straight ahead, her jaw clenched. Finally, it's my turn. My father loved his cars. I begin, my voice steady. But more than that, he loved teaching me about integrity, about doing things right. When he married Simone, he thought he'd found someone who shared those values. Simone's lawyer shifts uncomfortably as I continue. Instead, she planned his estate theft while he was dying in the hospital. She forged documents in his name after his death. She tried to steal not just his cars, but the lessons he taught me about standing up for what's right. The judge nods. And your brother Jacob's testimony? Half-brother, I correct. And his testimony confirmed what we already knew. This wasn't just opportunistic theft. It was a calculated, long-running criminal enterprise. After I sit down, the prosecutor stands. Your Honor, the government has documented 7 marriages, 6 suspicious deaths, and over $20 million in stolen assets. Ms. McGee's actions devastated families across multiple states, using a combination of emotional manipulation and sophisticated fraud. And the defendant's response? The judge asks. Simone's lawyer rises. Your Honor, my client recognizes the severity of her actions. She's willing to assist in recovering additional assets. Only after her son turned state's evidence, the prosecutor interrupts. Only after the FBI uncovered the life insurance policies, the forged documents, the offshore accounts, the judge reviews his papers. I've considered all testimony and evidence in this case, the systematic nature of these crimes, the emotional manipulation of grieving families, and the defendant's complete lack of remorse leave me no choice. He looks directly at Simone. I sentence you to 25 years in federal prison. Additionally, you are ordered to pay restitution to all identified victims. Simone finally breaks. This is ridiculous. Palmer, you ungrateful little— Remove the defendant! The judge orders as Simone starts shouting. Outside the courthouse, reporters gather around the victims' families. Rachel handles most of the questions, while I hang back with Mia. Hard to believe it's really over, she says. Not quite. I show her my phone, a message from Leonardo. They've located 2 more cars in Dubai, and the FBI is still tracking down assets. Callie appears with coffee. Speaking of assets, have you decided what to do with the collection? Actually, yes. I pull up a website on my phone. Dad always said cars were meant to be appreciated, not hidden away. The site shows plans for a new classic car museum and educational center, funded by the recovered assets and restitution payments. The homepage features Dad's Mustang. The Gabriel Lopez Legacy Project, Mia reads, teaching automotive history and fraud prevention, and offering scholarships to victims of estate fraud, I add. Rachel's helping set up the foundation. Dad would have loved this, Mia says softly. My phone buzzes, a text from the detective. Jacob's sentencing tomorrow. Prosecutor recommends 5 years based on cooperation. Justice comes in all forms, Callie observes. Later that evening, I drive the Mustang to Dad's favorite lookout point. Mia rides shotgun while Rachel and Callie follow in another car. The sunset paints the sky the same color as the Mustang's restored paint job. You know what Dad used to say about sunsets? I ask Mia. How? What's that? They're like karma. They take their time, but they always show up eventually. Rachel joins us, leaning against the car. Speaking of karma, did you see Simone's face when they read all those victim statements? I saw something better, Callie says, pulling out her phone. The FBI found her secret storage unit. Want to guess what was inside? She shows us the photos. Detailed notebooks documenting every con, every manipulation, every stolen inheritance. Simone's own meticulous records became the evidence that brought her down. Dad also said something else, I tell them, watching the sun sink below the horizon. He said the best revenge isn't about getting even. What's it about? Mia asks. It's about getting better, taking what was meant to break you and building something stronger. The Mustang's engine purrs as we drive home, carrying us toward whatever comes next. The Gabriel Lopez Legacy Project opens its doors on a crisp autumn morning. Dad's Mustang sits center stage in the main hall, surrounded by other recovered classics. Each car tells a story, not just of automotive history, but of justice and redemption. Ready for the ribbon cutting? Mia adjusts my blazer as reporters gather outside. Almost. I'm reading a new message from Rachel. Another family has come forward, this time from Seattle. The domino effect continues. Palmer! Callie rushes in, waving her tablet. You need to see this. It's security footage from the women's correctional facility. Simone, now in prison whites, sits alone in the cafeteria. No one will share her table. Even there, her manipulation tactics have failed. Karma's still working overtime, Mia observes. Leonardo approaches with an elderly gentleman. Palmer, meet Robert. He's here about the Cobra. The one from Dubai. I shake his hand. My father's car, he explains. Simone sold it after their marriage. I've spent 15 years searching for it. Well? I gesture to the restoration bay visible through glass walls. It's almost ready for display. Unless you'd rather have it back. I pull out the original title from my folder. We've been returning cars to their rightful owners when we can identify them. Robert's eyes fill with tears as he touches the paperwork. You'd do that? That's what this place is about, I explain. Restoration isn't just about cars, it's about putting things right. The opening ceremony begins. I stand at the podium, facing dozens of families, some victims of Simone's fraud, others just car enthusiasts, all part of a community that grew from one act of standing up to injustice. My father taught me that every car has a story. I begin. Sometimes it's about speed or style. Sometimes it's about family legacy. And sometimes... I pause, meeting the eyes of those who've shared similar struggles. It's about finding strength you didn't know you had. After the speeches, I give Robert a private tour. We pause at the education center, where a screen displays fraud prevention tips and real case studies. Is that... He points to a familiar face. Jacob's confession video? Yes. My half-brother had recorded it as part of his plea deal. He's speaking at high schools now, warning kids about getting involved in their parents' fraud schemes. Quite a change from his Instagram days. Callie comments. My phone buzzes. The detective again. They've identified another of Simone's previous marriages, this one under a different name. The investigation never really ends. It just reveals new layers. Palmer? A young woman approaches hesitantly. I read about your story online. My stepmother, she's starting to sell my dad's antique collection. Come to my office, I tell her, recognizing the fear in her eyes. Bring whatever documentation you have. Later, I drive the Mustang home along Dad's favorite route. The engine's purr is different now, not just a sound of power, but of purpose. Mia calls. The Seattle family sent over their documents. It's definitely Simone's signature on their paperwork. Add it to the FBI file, I reply. Every piece helps someone else's case. At home, I find a letter from Jacob. He writes monthly now, not from obligation, but from what seems like genuine remorse. This time he's enclosed photos of Dad that Simone had hidden, pictures of us working on cars together, memories she tried to erase. The doorbell rings. It's Rachel with takeout and news. The restitution payments are funding 3 new scholarships. Kids who lost parents to fraud can apply for automotive engineering programs. Dad would have loved that twist, I say, letting her in. We eat on my porch, watching the sunset. Rachel scrolls through messages from other victims turned survivors, each building something new from their experience. You know what's funny? She says. Simone thought she was taking our inheritances. Instead, she gave us something bigger, a purpose, a community. I think of the young woman from today, scared but ready to fight, of Robert reuniting with his father's car, of all the stories yet to emerge. Dad used to say every good mechanic needs 2 things, I tell Rachel, the right tools, and the wisdom to know when to use them. I pull out the Mustang's keys. Want to go for a drive? There's this sunset spot Dad loved. As we cruise down familiar roads, I realize Dad was right about one more thing. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even or getting better. Sometimes it's about helping others find their way back home. The Mustang roars into the sunset, carrying not just memories now, but possibilities. And somewhere I know Dad is smiling.